Hey folks, it's me, Emily. We're here in the beautiful McKinnon Park for our third episode of Into Camp Chairs with Emily. And today's guest, Clara! Woo! I'm glad that you applauded for yourself. Thanks for the warm welcome.
Yeah, great to be here.
Bless your LaCroix.
Thank you. You didn't have to.
I did though.
Cheers.
Cheers. Into Camp Chairs. But first, a word from our sponsors. I'm just kidding, we don't have any sponsors. For those of you that don't know, if you haven't read any of GOS's blog posts, etc., Clara is my longtime best friend and sort of permanent travel partner. I don't know that we've ever taken trips without each other.
You have a couple times.
Oh, it's just me?
Yeah.
I've
Cheated
left
on me
you
a few times, but we don't have to talk about that.
Oh, we don't want to bring that up yet. So we are going to discuss Badlands National Park today, which I'm super excited about.
Me too.
We have taken a number of trips to Badlands. Almost every trip that we take when we drive, we stop.
It's to the Badlands.
Yeah, it's only there. I've actually never been anywhere but the Badlands.
Yeah, at least the last 4 summers.
Yeah.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone every year.
Mm-hmm. Would you call us experts?
No. Definitely not.
Me neither.
Not.
Absolutely not. Certainly not.
Not even close.
Yeah. But we've gone a number of times and we get a lot of asks about the Badlands. There's not a lot of information that exists. So hopefully we can share some tips and tricks today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when was the first time that you went to the Badlands? Without me.
The first time without you, I really have no memory, very little memory of the Badlands from when I was younger, but I know that we went. As a family, we would take our tiny pop-up camper with us to the Black Hills, and we would always stop in the Badlands.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we camped. I'm sure we did.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't think I was really super interested in the Badlands, just because as a little kid, it was always hot and everything looks the same. It's all brown and rocky, and I don't know. There's no pools to swim in, so I didn't really. That's probably why I don't have very many. No inflatables.
No, the rocks don't inflate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not super interesting as a little kid, but that's definitely changed.
Hilariously, my story is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. We stopped in the Badlands. Our first ever family vacation was to the Black Hills. Okay. And we stopped in the Badlands on the way back. And I was furious as a kid, just refused to get out of the car. Mm-hmm. The worst word that I knew was stupid. And so I just sat in my car seat.
So offensive.
So offensive. And just called as many things as I could see or think of stupid, including my dad and brother, who were enjoying the Badlands outside of the car.
Ouch.
Yeah. We've never recovered.
No.
Yeah, that was it
Still
for us.
Hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How funny, though. So when was the first time that you and I went? What do you remember what trip it was?
I'm pretty sure my sophomore year of college, your junior year, with GOS's own, Grace Huber.
Grace Huber, a real
friends.
OG.
Yes, and her friend Mary.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 of us did a girl trip. I don't remember a whole lot of this trip either, but did we just go to the Badlands or did we
we
go
went
to the
hills.
Black Hills too?
Yeah.
We
We stopped through.
And the only thing I remember about the Badlands from that trip is we rolled in during the start of a storm, and I remember getting out and taking a picture on one of the overlooks when we were doing the loop.
Oh my God, do you remember that sheep?
And the sheep, the bighorn sheep. We
thought that we straight up thought it was fake. Anyone should know better. Anything you read is don't approach wildlife.
Right.
We were outdoor women.
We were amazed.
And we were that's a fake sheep, right? That's definitely a statue.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody got 10 steps into it and it moved. And we all just
we
screamed and bolted. Outdoor pros.
Yes. Definitely pros. No, but I just remember taking a photo. Our first photo
Yeah.
at that overlook was like us getting slapped in the face with water, like rain and wind, but we're so happy.
We were so happy.
We're having so much fun already.
And then we did a hike the next day. We did the whole, like, I think the length of Castle Trail, which is like
Okay, yeah, I do
a
remember.
while.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, and another classic mistake, did not wear enough sunscreen. And I just remember I had the headband on and like insane forehead burn.
I do remember that.
I was so mad about
it's all
that.
coming back to me now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was our first trip. Do you know that was, I think, my first official tent camping trip at all?
I think we've talked about this before, and I think you're right. You were a beginner.
I was just an absolute noob.
And now look at you.
Slightly better.
Slightly better. Barely better.
Sometimes wears sunscreen. So for someone who was going to plan a trip of their own to the Badlands, how would you tell them? I think this trip example is great. How would you tell them to prepare for the space, be it wildlife, weather, etc.? Let's start with weather.
Weather. Well, like we've already touched on, it can get pretty hot in the Badlands, assuming you're going to be there in the summer, which is the popular season. I know a coworker of mine was there a couple weekends ago, and he had a day where it was more than 100 degrees.
Yeah.
So bring some sunscreen. Definitely bring a lot of water.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's more than, I think just the visitor center has water you can get.
I think you're right.
In the whole park. So probably pack your water in, especially if you're doing backpacking or going on a long hike.
Yeah.
I think the recommendation is like a gallon per person per day. So
I just
bring
told
lots
you
of
that
water.
recently.
You what?
I just told you that water recommendation recently. So, like, honestly, thank you for remembering.
I think I read that online, actually.
I spoke that to you.
I don't remember that. I mean, we've only hit a couple storms in the Badlands, but
one thing I will say that on that trip that we took, the one with Grace and Mary, it had just rained a whole bunch, and we were out by Sage Creek, which is on the west side of the park. We'll talk about that in a minute, probably. But that mud, it's so silty and fine in the Badlands. Like, if it has just rained, the roads can be very yikes, and like any of the trails, that mud turns into like marshmallow fluff. Like, do you remember how we tried to like do a hike and we all ended up, we were just on like platform sandals.
Yeah.
There was like 4 inches of mud underneath us.
Yeah, you're right. I do remember that.
Yeah. And they come in fast. The storms come rolling fast.
Yeah. But then they leave pretty quickly.
They do, yeah. They seem to blow through. But you have to be prepared, even in like hot summer, like have your raincoat, have your rain fly on your tent, etc.
Definitely.
Yeah. How about wildlife? What would you tell someone about the wildlife in the Badlands?
You're probably going to experience a lot of bison, especially if you're camping at Sage Creek.
Yes.
You have a story about when you camped with Carly overnight. There was a bison by your tent. Is that right?
Yeah. I think early morning, yeah.
So they'll get up pretty close to you.
Yep.
Lots of bison, rattlesnakes exist in the park. Coyotes at night, you'll hear those while you're trying to sleep. They're super loud. It's prairie dogs. Prairie dog town. You can visit Prairie Dog Town.
Cute, fat little prairie dogs.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of those in Sage Creek too. The whole center of Sage Creek is riddled with them. I was just out last weekend, and my brother and I witnessed. This was wild. I don't think I've told you this yet, actually.
Oh.
We were sitting there. It was very early in the morning, and there was a number of prairie dogs out, and then a new one came out from its hole in the ground, and it did like this one-armed. It was like, ah! And all of the other ones stopped what they were doing and turned around and did the same thing at the same time.
Wow.
It was like 12 prairie dogs that were all like, ah! And they never did it again. It was just the one time.
Weird.
I don't know if that was like the boss prairie dog, and they like
probably
saluted him or her in the morning.
Oh my god.
Our prairie dogs might be matriarchal. I don't remember.
I don't know much about the prairie dogs.
There was that show on Animal Kingdom about prairie dogs, but I don't remember who's in charge.
Really, all you need to know is who's in charge. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the bison, don't approach them, obviously.
Right.
They're, during like mating season or fall-ish season is when they're like growing their new fur or something. There's a season where they get itchy and they're very rubby on things, and so I would also avoid them then.
I would be too.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 feet apart.
And then rattlesnakes, you just have to be aware, and you'll listen for them.
You'll hear them when you're on
some of the hikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Watch where you're going on the trail for
sure. Definitely.
Probably don't step on one.
Probably don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you camp when you go to the Badlands?
Well, we always camp at Sage Creek. I've never stayed at Cedar. Is it Cedar Pass?
Cedar Pass, yeah.
I've never stayed there. That one you have to call ahead, and I believe it costs money.
Yes.
But Sage Creek is nice because you can show up whenever. It's literally just a ring. There's no really marked spots, so it's first come first serve.
It's free.
It's free.
It is
beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's much more like prairie scenery, so you're not gonna like be in the rock formation. So it does mean if you're gonna hike or it's like it's 30 minutes at least to get back into the rock formation.
Yeah.
If you want to hike out there, so that is something to keep in mind.
That's true.
But we love Sage Creek.
I agree. I love Sage Creek.
You have to bring your own water in there too. That's important to remember.
Right.
They have vault toilets, but they don't have any running water.
True.
Or filterable water.
There's like a couple covered picnic tables.
Yeah. People claim them fast though.
Yeah. Where do we eat?
I didn't even ask you that. Are you asking yourself?
I thought you asked that. That was one of the questions.
No, I haven't said it yet. Where do you eat?
There's limited options.
Yeah.
For sure. I think you can eat at, there's Well Drunk. That's not super far away. You can eat there for sure.
Maple
You
Donuts.
should eat there.
Maple Donuts and bad coffee.
And wonderful 5-cent coffee.
Well, I mean, it's bad, but like it's part of the experience.
But it tastes like home because it's like drinking coffee at like your church.
Sure, yeah.
It's not the best,
your
but
Midwest diner.
It's what you need on a Sunday morning.
Right.
To get you out of bed.
It doesn't have any caffeine. Not nearly enough.
No.
It's a good thing it's 5 cents because you need 12 cups.
Right. So you should eat there.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's not a whole lot of options. We always end up just packing our own food.
Here's a hot tip. We do end up packing our food. My brother just told me that there's a restaurant attached to the lodge, which is by the visitor center, so right on the east side. It's closed right now because of the pandemic, but I guess their Indian tacos are like to die for.
Oh. That's a pro tip.
Yeah. I didn't know. I haven't had it.
Does your brother even know about the Badlands?
That was his first time.
How many times? He's been there one time.
He's weirdly good at it. So irritating.
I'm not going to name any names, but
Kyle sucks. Kyle, if you're watching this.
Is it live?
Can we edit this out? Where do we hike when we go to the Badlands?
Always Castle Trail, usually.
Mm-hmm. It's the longest trail.
It's the longest.
If I'm not mistaken. And you can loop it, too. We loop onto Medicine Route Trail, I think. And Castle's like really rocky, and then Medicine is prairie-esque.
Yeah, yep. Is it 10 miles?
Ish? 7?
Doesn't matter.
7, 10?
Because the other smaller trails, like Notch and
Window and
Door, kind of branch off from that trail, right?
They're actually a little bit further east, but there are some other ones that connect on Castle.
Which, I mean, we always end up doing the smaller ones with usually.
Notch Trail is really fun because it has the ladders.
Oh, yeah.
We like to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but we like to do that.
I don't really remember, but I love that we love to do that.
Yeah, that's mostly where we hike. But this leads me into my next question, which is what are your aspirations in the Badlands? Because we've done a lot of the established trails.
Right.
So what would you like to do that you haven't done?
A few things, actually. I would love to do some hiking, like backcountry, which we actually had plans to do. couple months ago now. We didn't end up doing them, but yeah, it was too hot. But would love to find Deer Haven, which you won't.
The mysterious Deer Haven.
Yeah, not a ton of people know about it. I didn't know about it until I was doing some research.
Yep.
And there's not really even a ton of resources online, so you won't be able to read a ton about it.
You won't be able to find it.
You won't be able to find it. Don't even try. No, it's this. You can kind of find it with the game trail, apparently. You can kind of follow the game trail around these ginormous buttes. But you start off in the Kanata picnic area and then head south, which is like middle
southeast
northern part of the park. And it leads you to this grassy, tree-y area of the park, the only wooded area in the whole park. So it looks really cool up against all the brown. But apparently it's a great place to tent. I'd love to hike there.
So on the last trip that I just took, the one that was without you, unfortunately, we drove down there to go check it out because we haven't gotten to we haven't gotten to backpack it, but we drove down into the picnic area, which is also fantastic. If you're looking for like a quiet lunch spot, it was very cool. Lots of those covered like picnic shelters, and then we hiked just a little bit of it, the start of that game trail. And it is like there are parts that you kind of have to follow, like washout areas, and then you kind of like pick up the trail again. So we just hiked a little bit of it, but I'm very excited about Deer Haven. We didn't get to Deer Haven, but there was I would not do that.
Okay.
There was a sign that said Deer Haven, so I do know that it is real.
Okay.
There wasn't anything about the llama.
I didn't know you were gonna let me talk about the llama.
Let you?
You told me to not tell any people.
I just said that my coworker shouldn't tell people because we didn't know if it was true. What did you hear about the llama?
I just read when I was doing my research that there is one singular llama that hangs out around Deer Haven. That's all I know.
That's all we know.
And honestly, I would too.
If you were a llama.
If I were
a single llama in the Badlands.
A single llama in the Badlands.
Yeah, I'm super excited to do some more. I think we've like gotten comfortable enough in the Badlands, doing the established like campgrounds and trails. Most of the park, which is pretty interesting, is backcountry, which means that it's open for hiking, camping, etc. There are regulations with backcountry, like you have to be so far away from the trail when you camp so people can't see you. You obviously want to respect the space that you're in.
Right.
You're not just like destroying things.
Probably not.
That feels self-explanatory, but I'm very excited about that, like to go explore some more of those areas.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if you've been here, probably not, but I would love to go to the fossil lab.
The fossil lab?
Lab.
What is that?
There's a fossil lab. I think it's
in the park?
In the visitor center, where you
We've
can
been in
watch. I don't remember that, but maybe we have. You can go watch real paleontologists work on these fossils that they found in the park.
No way.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Like live TV.
I didn't know about that. Did you do that without me?
No, I just said I've never been there. I would love to do that, with or without you.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah.
We should do that sometime. Huh. What kind of fossils are they, do you know? Llamas.
All I know is they've been there a long time.
The other llamas.
The one llama.
There's only one left, but there were others.
That's why they don't see it anymore.
Yeah, that's why there's just one. Great. How has going to Badlands National Park impacted your view of other wild spaces that you visit? Having spent so much time in the same park, when you travel other spots, how does that inform your experience?
Sure. Well, I think it's taught me that you should visit your own state. South Dakota, I know, isn't on the list at the top of the list, the most exciting states probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Badlands are super cool, and I think we're really lucky to have that kind of state park in our state, let alone in the Midwest. You know, like it just doesn't seem like it belongs here.
Yeah, totally.
Because it just looks weird, and it's just very different from what we normally see here. So visit your own state. You don't have to travel super far to find something cool and exciting.
Yeah. That's a great take. What keeps you going back to the Badlands? Because it's to be honest, it's not like it's not always a super welcoming environment. Like what we talked about when we were little kids, we were like, "This place sucks. It's super hot.
Like this. Yeah.
It's super hot, and there's no pools."
I think, well, in the past, we've kind of touched on this, but in the past, I think what it was that it's just convenient. It's a nice, quick, easy stop on the way to the Black Hills, because that's usually the final destination on like a family vacation. But we've been going there for a lot of summers in a row now. It's started to feel like home, so I think now it's sort of changed into I want to go back because I want to do these other things. Go to the fossil lab and maybe do some biking or you know.
Yeah.
Opportunities are endless. Really.
Oportunidades. I had kind of the same experience on this last trip that I went, because it's been a while since we've just passed through the summer, but we haven't actually camped. But when my brother and I were just there, it felt very much like a homecoming.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I know this space. I know these trails. I know this campground. Like, for being such a kind of an alien landscape, like you said, it's like strangely familiar now, and that's something I really appreciate. Not to say that I'm like a master of the Badlands, because I'm certainly not.
There's still so much that we have to experience.
Yeah, but it's cool to get to continue to return to a place.
Yeah.
And feel some like ties. Like you have memories, there's sentiment attached.
Yeah.
I think I've always kind of loved the Badlands too, because I kind of like places that are like kind of hard to love.
A challenge.
Yeah. I feel like that has to be in some way like a little bit of a Midwest mindset. Because this isn't a super easy place to live all the time.
No.
Winters are hard, summers are hot, like and you like have to struggle to love it.
Yeah. You get one nice week.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
You're like committed to it. You'll like see it through, even though it's not great all the time.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way about the Badlands.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it does fit into the Midwest.
Yeah.
It's like one extreme.
Totally. Yeah, that's an interesting
Probably
way
why
to say
it
that.
feels like home.
Familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So my final question in each of these episodes is, for you, what is the wild magic of the Badlands? I think we've touched a little bit on maybe some points that will help to answer that, but how would you describe like the wild magic of Badlands National Park to you?
That's a big question.
It is.
Well, I think it probably ties into what we just talked about, my last answer. I don't know. I always get that it's sort of a zen, very calming, relaxed, almost like even protected feeling that I get when I go there, and I always get it. When, like I said, we've been going there for so long, several years in a row, that it's started to feel like home. Like I feel a connectedness to it. And with that has just come like that zen feeling. Like I sort of belong here. It's like visiting an old friend after you haven't seen them in a while. And that's kind of the wild magic to me. That bizarre and exciting of a place can feel like home.
Yeah, that you can relax there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I feel the same way. I think the wild magic is like, it's such a strange alien landscape, and I never get over that.
No.
Every time.
Yeah.
Whether we drive through the Badlands or whether we stop to camp. Every time we get into the park, I'm like,
roll down the windows.
And it always smells the same. Yeah.
The colors look so cool.
Yeah.
Because you've been driving for however many hours through just flat, plain grassland, and then all
Every
of a sudden,
single time, yeah.
out of nowhere, almost like
it
these
opens up.
Weird rocks, rock formations pop up.
It literally feels like a different planet, and that never goes away.
Yeah. And I just feel like they know things that we don't know. They've been there for so long. You can literally see like the different eras in like the different colors, the layers of colors in the rock. Yeah,
do you feel like they're like sentient a little bit? Like
and that's I think like why I feel kind of protected by them.
Yeah.
They just know stuff.
Like they've accepted you or something.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way too. That's hilarious. We're just, like projecting things on the rocks, but
maybe they don't know anything.
Yeah. I think it never ceases to amaze me. The space does, no matter how many times we visit, and that coupled with the familiarity now is like I have a really warm feeling about that. And there's always a moment of like where whether we stop at an overlook or we're on a hike or something where you like look out and you see it and you just think I just always feel like I'm transported back in time. I just think about like who saw this?
Yeah.
How many people have looked at this and felt this exact same feeling? Like across hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
They've looked at it and been like, what is this?
Right. What's going on here?
Yeah. Who
this
did
doesn't
it?
make sense.
Does anyone work here? Yeah. I lov that.
Yeah. And
to the Badlands.
To the Badlands. Pride for South Dakota.
Love it. Sodak. Do you have anything else to say about the Badlands?
No, I guess if I could leave them with one final thought or suggestion, it would be to get the maple glazed donut and the 5-cent coffee. That's well drugged. That's not in the park.
That's a different national park.
That doesn't have anything to do with the Badlands. But you have to.
To wall drug.
To wall drug. We might as well.
Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
This has been very fun.
Fun to see you.
Fun friends. Nice to see you here.
Great.
In this interview setting.
Love it.
Thanks for tuning in. That's Badlands National Park. We would love some suggestions for what parks you would like to hear about, actually. So for our next couple episodes, if you want to drop us a comment, let us know what parks do you want to hear about? What do you want the scoop on? Until next time, this is Into Camp Chairs with Emily and Clara and the Badlands.
And Waldrug.
And South Dakota.
And Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls. To us.
And Izzy.
Izzy.
Our cameraman.
Izzy, our cameraman. Thanks, folks.